Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. I wanted to talk about my 5 favorite covers from one of my favorite all-time characters, Magik. Now, this is a character been responsible for a lot of cover buys for me, and I decided it was only fair that I talk about my 5 favorite covers from this particular character. Hopefully this is something we can be doing later on with other characters as we move on. Now, before we get into it, I quickly want to talk about my giveaway. At 700 subscribers, which we're inching oh so close to, I'm giving away 4 awesome comics. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, and then leave a comment on this video, maybe telling me about your favorite Magik cover, if you agreed with my list, disagreed with my list, stuff like that, and then you're automatically entered into the giveaway. If you would like additional chances to enter this giveaway, look at that Magik cover right there. Oh, right there. It's a good one. If you would like additional chances to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is comment on other videos on my channel. Every comment on a different video is another chance to win. Now, let's go ahead and talk about my 5 favorite covers. Starting off with Uncanny X-Men number 4, not the original. This is a newer series, and this is a cover from Bachalo. This is one, by the way, only about a $5 book. I'm putting prices in here just to let you know, in case you're interested, let you know, because some of these do get quite pricey. We're starting with the cheap one, though. So this cover is only about a $5 book. I actually got mine out of a dollar bin, so you can get it super cheap at most, probably $10. But it is one that I think is severely underrated. I don't know what it is about yellow covers. Yellow covers just, or backgrounds anyway, they get me. Like Star Wars 68 here, one of my favorite all-time covers. That recent She-Hulk number 1 was a beautiful yellow background cover. That Hawkeye Kate Bishop number 1, beautiful cover. Anyway, and this one's no different. I absolutely love her giant soul sword. Sword starts off as a smaller sword, and through time later becomes this giant, iconic, beautiful sword. I think the use of negative space in this one is absolutely brilliant. The way, first, obviously, like I said, you have so much, just plain yellow, nothing going on in the background, it's just yellow. Almost kind of an ugly mustard yellow, too. But it works for this one. Which the soul sword itself has a yellow tint to it, and I'm not even sure if it's one of those illusions that, your eyes plays on you, but I think the sword's just white. But, since it's surrounded by that yellow, it makes it seem like it has a hint of yellow to it. I think one of the great things about the design of the giant soul sword is that it lends itself to kind of, it has its own negative space built into the design that is already aesthetically pleasing to look at. And so when you throw it in and add even more amazing use of negative space, especially with the angle that the sword's at and the angle that she's at and her legs go in different ways, it creates this awesome energy throughout the piece. The soul sword is the star of the show in this one. I mean, obviously she's drawn very well as well, but the way that it's used, the way that it pops, absolutely beautiful cover. One, like I said, very underrated in my opinion, very cheap book to get, and I would recommend, if you're a big Magik fan, you definitely got to have this one in your collection. And then next up, we're moving on to Strange Academy 13, the Art Adams variant. This one is about a $30 book, and if you're not familiar, when you place orders for comics, they don't always show the image of what the cover is going to look like. So that was the case with this one. So a lot of places didn't order a lot, and it ended up being an absolutely incredible cover. Everybody wanted it, and now it's hard to get because of a low print run. So that being said, beautiful, beautiful cover. I love, now negative space doesn't have to mean nothing's happening in the background, because there is definitely a texture and design in this background, but it is still very, very negative space, like it could just simply be a color, and the same goal is accomplished. I love this costume so much. I'm not a big fan of the super close-up shots most of the time, but I think this one's done so well. Art Adams is such an amazing artist, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It just simply is just a striking incredible cover of a super awesome character. So we're gonna go ahead now and move on. And this, by the way, this isn't in any necessarily from, you know, least to most favorite or whatever. I just actually the order is just the order of price is how I wrote them down in my notes, and that's how they appeared. So moving on to another Art Adams piece. This is New Mutants number 15, and this is a $70 book. So we're getting into pricier books here now. And actually, I have the first two. Like I said, I've picked up the first one for $1. I picked up the other one. I picked up 2 copies because I'm giving one away, which kind of hurt my soul a little bit. It's such a good one. I wanted to hoard it and keep it, but I decided to be kind. I know a lot of people didn't get that cover, so I've included it in my giveaway. And so from here on out, I don't have these covers. This is another one I'm going to be talking about, Negative Space again. Absolutely brilliant use. The way that the background is just orangey scarlet kind of cover, and then you have the big black stripe in the middle. Simple colored designs like this can be very visually striking, especially I think in this particular context. You have, now this is the smaller soul sword, the blue flames, really cool looking stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the big soul sword, but I mean a blue flame katana is also super cool looking. This thing is almost entirely placed within that black stripe, which visually is just a really, really good idea, because it allows that blue to pop on its own while also having, like I said, this scarlet color of the background really help to pop the rest of the image. So it really feels like the full image is just striking you in the face. Again, Art Adams, drawn amazingly. He's a brilliant artist. Not my favorite costume for the character. She has various costumes. And none of the covers, just a little bit of a spoiler, I didn't pick any of the Hellchild covers. Not particularly my thing. I can see if some of you really like the Hellchild persona, but not my favorite part about her, so I didn't include any of those. This one, I think the armor is a little meh, it's a little plain, but as far as the design goes, but I mean, other than that, the image, again, great energy moving through the piece with the sword going off in one angle, the leg going off in a opposing angle. She's not quite standing straight. It has a lot of movement in this piece with a fairly static background, helping to really just pull this thing into a fantastic punch to your senses. And the colors, again, are incredible. So, moving on to my 4th book on the list here, we have Inferno Number One. This is a variant by Granov. I want to say it's a ratio like 1 in 50 or something. I can't remember, though. And, again, this is another $70 book. Granov is an incredible artist. The technical work in this is so beautiful. Again, my favorite costume, and you know, it's a little scantily clad, a little sexy, and a little badass. A lot of badass. Maybe okay, add a lot to all those things I said. Again, we have the giant soul sword, not as prominently shown in this one, and I think it works. You know, again, even though you don't see the full thing, and it's not the star of the image like it was in that first one I showed, it creates this nice bit of negative space behind her, helps to really, helps her face in particular, I think, to pop off, because the background's very dark, her costume, the parts that are there are very dark, and I think Granov really used this idea to kind of help show off exactly what he wanted to show off. So again, her face is nice and prominently pushed forward thanks to the bright soul sword behind her. If her whole costume was simply just a black costume, she would get lost in this cover, and it probably wouldn't be very nice. However, with a lot of her skin showing, I feel like it really helps to pop off. There's nice shines on her costume that in a lesser capable artist, maybe the black parts of her costume would have just completely been washed out if they chose to do this background. Again, the technical work is just absolutely beautiful on this piece, and I haven't really talked about it too much, but it's not a big thing on all covers. But the Inferno title here, I think having really kind of the only source of color with that red and orange title, I think really adds a lot to this one. And which I'll be talking a little bit more about here on this next cover. But you know, there's a lot of some people really like virgin covers, or I know that's become a big thing here lately, where there's no title or nothing, no text on the cover. They just want the art, and I'm kind of on and off between them. I feel like a lot of the times the title can really add to the image, and also it kind of differentiates between, you know, this is clearly a comic versus if you just wanted a nice piece of art, maybe just get a poster, you know what I mean? But and granted, you know, I'm not dissing virgin covers or nothing. I have some, and there are some that I like, you know, but I think it's not quite as often talked about how having that trade dress on there can really add to the image. Not in all cases, but you know, sometimes, like I said, this one, I think it adds that much needed bit of color to stimulate your senses. So now moving on to the last one. I said this wasn't in order of least to most favorite. However, we are ending with my favorite one, which unfortunately is the most expensive one. Again, one I don't have, one I've wanted for a long time now. We're going to be talking about Strange Academy number 1, the Momoko variant, which in a raw condition is about a $150 book. And again, we're just talking about the trade dress. There is a virgin variant on this cover, which I think is like $300 or something. And to me, it doesn't really change the image. Sometimes I get it because the title is in the way, maybe, and blocking some of the image or whatever. But in this one, it's not really doing that. I'd be happy just getting the trade dress. Absolutely beautiful cover, again by Momoko, one of my favorite artists as well, and quite possibly, and I'm a little biased, but quite possibly her best piece she's ever done. I think she has a lot of work. I know she's a polarizing artist, she's not for everybody. I think she gets very experimentally simplistic in concept, in almost like a kind of super surrealist state, and that's the stuff that really isn't for everybody. And I get it, you know, a lot of artists aren't for everybody, and a lot of styles, I'd like to say. And she does have a very anime-esque style, and a lot of people don't like anime anyway. But I do think there isn't enough talk about, this is kind of a different topic, but here I am rambling. With Momoko specifically, she has what I consider to be, you know, a fairly anime style, and then she gets into kind of surrealist stuff as well. And I don't think people appreciate and notice that there is a bit of a difference. Even though uniformly all of her stuff still kind of has the same style, I think she does departure into a bit of a different technique sometimes, and people sometimes, I feel like the most often thing you'll hear is like, oh, she was lazy on that one. I was like, no, this is a very different style. It's a lot more simplistic, yes, as far as technical features. But anyway, moving on. So this one is not surrealist at all. Absolutely incredible piece. Granted, it is featuring the smaller soul sword, which again is cool. I don't think as cool as the big one, but I do think was the right choice for this particular cover. If she was holding that giant soul sword in front of her, you wouldn't see her. So, you know, if you're doing a cover and she's got the giant soul sword, you're kind of limited. She can either have it to her side or she can have it behind her, and that's about it. I think there is a pretty sweet cover where it is kind of in front of her, but she's got her arm like way out, and then it kind of comes down to her feet. So you're just kind of, you know, covering up a little bit of her legs. But yeah, you can't have that thing just completely covering her up, because then there's nothing to the piece. But again, so I mean, blue flame katana, still really cool. A lot of energy in this piece, starting with that striking just diagonal sword, cutting the image almost in half. A lot of beautiful movement in her hair. It's a nice, almost symmetrical piece, which, you know, there's a lot of people that enjoy a good symmetrical image. However, I think a just slightly asymmetrical image really helps create this. Like I said, I talked a lot about movement because, well, for those of you who didn't know, I did study art for many, many years, and I know the technical terms and everything. You know, I know how to create a composition and you know, that kind of stuff. And I think there's little just divisive movements that help move your eye, and that's kind of what you want in a piece. You want something that starts you. Usually, you want something that brings you in, and I think with this one, it's the sword, and it sharply sends your focus down. And from there, I think it's a little bit interesting because it doesn't have a clear-cut direction. It might go different ways for certain people, but you might start looking at the top half, you might start looking at the bottom half. But regardless, I think it all flows together in a way that your eyes are going to be drawn to it, and you're going to end up looking at the whole thing, but you have a bit of an adventure doing so. I might be getting a bit too artsy-fartsy for some people. I'm sorry, but it's who I am, and it's how I ingest art. And again, super amazing cover. Background pretty simplistic. I think that's been a common theme on all 5 of these covers. I think when you're making a cover, there are no set rules, you know, obviously. But I think if you're throwing a bunch of stuff in there, you can really make it crowded and noisy, and you lose focus. And in particular for me, when I'm talking about my 5 covers, you know, showing off Magik, I want Magik to be the focus, and I think these 5 pieces excel in that. There's nothing else to get distracted by. There is only Magik. The only one would be that that Art Adams' Strange Academy, you know, has a little bit of texture and design going on in the background, and that's the busiest background, but does not take away from the piece at all. And again, with this one, there's a little bit of, it's not just a straight flat color in the back. There's a little bit of variation throughout it, but not enough to distract you in any way. So those were my 5 favorite pieces. Now, before we, you know, head off here, I wanted to give you all a little bit of a vote in the comments. So I've picked 2 characters here that on the next episode of this, I don't even know what this is being called. I just started doing it, but for the next 5 best covers of whoever, I want to give you a vote. So we're either going to do Moon Knight or Black Cat. 2 of my also favorite characters. I think 2 characters that have incredible covers, and I would like to know which one you all would like to see next. So just, you know, in the comments, you know, say which one you would like, and I will tally up all of those comments and see who the winner is. I have no idea when this video will be coming out. It might take me a week, it might take me a little bit longer. But that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, this was something I haven't done before, and during our live stream, which I suggest you show up in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a live stream. We build some Legos, chill, hang out with the chat, and just have a good, relaxing Wednesday night. But that being said, we were just kind of chatting and talking about video ideas, because I always have a bajillion floating in my head, and I don't know what it... maybe I was talking about that Art Adams cover. I really don't recall what started the conversation, but then I was like, yeah, I think I want to do a 5 best covers of Magik. And that's where the idea came from, and that's where I am now. And I think it's a super fun idea, because I do want to hear what you all have to say, because maybe there's some covers, maybe you disagree, maybe you're a big fan of the Hellchild persona. Again, if you are, awesome. Not my cup of tea. I do think she's cool, but I prefer the other costume moves in most of these, all of the covers except for that one, the 3rd one. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'm rambling. I will see you all next time.